one day I did sort of come to my senses and I said, wow, you can't do this anymore. You got to like buckle down and figure out how to be a help, how to like make a difference. And don't forget, you're here living this way because you weren't able to do this where you come from. So I never forgot Hueytown. And I was like, okay, what can we do? How can I help people who are still feeling oppressed, who are still lonely, who are still hurting? Maybe even people who are experiencing violence or suicide attempts. And that's when I started working for TED, and I was in a really cool place at a really cool time, and I learned a lot about digital media and how the power of these stories placed on a platform could reach millions, if not billions, of people around the world. And since a story had saved my life, I said, oh, well, why don't we like record LGBTQ stories and put them online and share them with the world? So I started a nonprofit called VideoOut, and that has not only given me a way to serve the community and to help queer people, especially in small towns and rural areas, but it's also allowed me to learn more about myself. By hearing the experiences of others, I've learned more about who I am. And it's helped me see that, oh, I'm queer, trans, non-binary. I'm not a gay man, which is sort of what I always thought I was. It was the only language I had. You can't name something if you don't know how. You can't talk about it if you don't have the language to talk about it. So through hearing these stories, I was able to figure out how to best serve the community, but also how to be the most authentic version of myself. So that really brings us to today. As we said, I'm still, I have a contentious relationship with my parents in that, we're amicable. We respect one another. Like, we don't ever yell, or it's not that kind of relationship, but we do have, we very rarely talk these days. I've talked to my mom 2 times in the past year, which is the longest I've ever gone without talking to her. And a lot of it has to do with that compartmentalization. It's like, we can love each other from a distance. And I have to do that because I know it's not healthy for me to continuously engage in a conversation where I'm told I'm not real, or that I'm broken, or that I'm hellbound. And for me, it's more like, I don't even believe that any of that is true anymore. Now it doesn't hold the power over me that it once did. But for me now, I can see the correlation between a belief system that's oppressive and the way that it actually does affect me. So people who hold those viewpoints are more likely to vote against my interests in a voting booth. For instance, there are 250 different pieces of anti-LGBTQ legislation in state legislatures today. 8 of them have already been signed into law. There are 10 more on governors' desks across the country, which would make, if those 10 are signed, it would make this year the most anti-LGBTQ year in history. More laws on the books than ever. So there's got to be a connection to the way people are feeling in their homes, in their family relationships, to the way that they're voting in the voting booth. So I have to say to my parents, like, we have to have these difficult conversations. We have to talk about these things in order for us to like come to a place where the respect is now carried over into the way that you participate in society.
Yeah, Jordan. Very, very interesting. I think, you're sharing a really powerful story, and I appreciate how you've learned to emphasize and value the power of stories, and the healing that can lead to, and dedicating your life, which is really kind of how I see it, to using your life, your experience to serve other people, through the power of story is one that I certainly feel is important.